Alright, Cashtook Bowcraft here today. This video is a follow-up video to the last one that I posted on my deer hunting trip. Anyway, as I was explaining in that video, that I had carried a belt with as my survival setup in case I got stuck out in the woods and I didn't have anything but this on hand. It's more or less like a survival system in that the bulk of this stuff is in this bag, but you certainly do need, things like water, a cutting tool, a fire starting tool. In this case, I have a flashlight and a Leatherman multi-tool. So anyway, I'm going to put the camera down, get it set up, and I'll show you exactly what I've got in the bag and how it all kind of works together. Okay, so first off the belt is I have my my knife. I made the knife, the leather, and the ferro rod. It's a zebra wood handle on here. It's a ferro rod and it's used to start fire when I need one. Just a regular leather sheath. And this knife here is basically a old hickory slicer. Looks kind of like this when it starts out, and I modified it to look like this knife. It's probably about a 5-inch blade, maybe a little bit longer, and it's got a zebra wood handle. And this is the knife I probably use more often than not. I do have other knives, but for some reason this is my favorite knife. It's a good knife though. It's sharp and it does its job, or at least it does the things that I need it to do. Anyway, I keep that in the sheath along with this fire starter here, and that's my cutting tool and fire starting tool. Next thing I have on this thing is my canteens, just a regular Army surplus canteen, stainless steel model for water. And then in here comes with a canteen cup set up, and then it's got a stove here as well. Comes with a lid, and I guess that's about it. So obviously, I can use the stove if I wanted to use a stove, cook something on there. I can boil water. It's a cup. It's got a lid on it, so there's a container that I can use, for whatever reasons if I'm out in the woods. I have ways to collect water, to disinfect it, and to do what I need to do. I can cook in it and do whatever I need to do with this. Okay? We'll save the bag for later. This is my multi-tool. It's just a regular Leatherman's tool. Probably these things, the needle nose pliers here, I use a lot. There are blades and files and stuff. The file comes in really handy too when you're trying to sharpen field point or arrowheads or your knife or whatever. It's got all different kind of knife setups, so this is a pretty good all-around tool that you can use out in the woods. And I always carry a flashlight because you never know, especially when you're out hunting, you're going to be walking around in the dark. You need to be able to find your way back to the camp. Alright, so now we come to the my little survival bag here. It's just one of those, again, another Army surplus bag that I got. And I got it because it's nice and it's the right size for this. I can carry it on my belt, or I can put this in my haversack or in my backpack. And it probably weighs less than a pound with all the stuff I have in here. Anyway, this is my first aid kit. And I don't know what kind of can this is, but it's just a can that I found that happened to fit right inside there. I got a mirror, got a razor blade, I got some gauze, I have some Neosporin antiseptic, I got some duct tape, I got some electrical tape. I got some super glue. I got a small little ferro rod. I have some, what they call this artificial sinew. In the unlikely case that I would have to suture or stitch myself up. But I got this stuff in here. I can also use it for, fishing line or something, but I just thought it'd be a good idea to have that. Got a couple of toothpicks, some tweezers, giant needle, bunch of band-aids, and some Q-tips. I don't know what you guys use for first aid kits, but in over 30 years of being out in the woods or doing camping and fishing and stuff, I have to say that I've never really hurt myself. I've never had the use or need to even have a band-aid or anything, but I guess I'm just lucky that way. But even though I still have this kit here to help take care of at least some minor things that might go wrong. More than anything, I'll probably end up cutting myself or something. That's why I got all this gauze in here, so I can make myself a band-aid if I needed a real big one. But anyway, this is my first aid kit, if you will, and it's got everything that I thought that I would ever need out of it. Again, like I said, it's not that I'm planning to get hurt or anything. I just never have gotten hurt. I've never received any kind of injury or anything while I was out in the woods. Maybe I just don't do enough. But anyway, that's that. That's mostly in there is for stuff to take care of cuts and stuff. I just be careful when I'm out there, and I've never been terribly injured while I was out in the woods. So that's that. What I have here is just a bandana. The bandana itself is a good thing to have because you can use it to, splint your arm or as a means of cover. You can wet it and cool yourself down. So it's always a good thing to have. And I just wrap all my stuff up in there. Also, what I have is a big old piece of length of some bank line here. It's just a tar-covered nylon rope. It's pretty strong, and I could use this for pretty much whatever I need to use rope for. Always carry a plastic bag for I don't know what, but things that I could use. I actually used the one that was in here last week because I needed something to hold some. I was collecting some pine sap, and I put it in here because I was going to make some pine glue. I've got a couple of tea bags here, some beef flavored bouillon powder, so you can have some kind of soup. This here is a blood clot thing. If you got a cut or something, you put this fluid in there, and it'll clot up the blood and stop the bleeding. I got a bunch of extra batteries for my emergency flashlight. Got another roll of duct tape. I used this last week too because as I was deer hunting, I made the error of going into my tarp with an arrow in my hand, and I went and cut a hole in the roof of my tarp. So I needed this, funny enough, to repair that tarp. Got an extra lighter, another extra ferro rod for a fire starter. I got some fat wood here to help start a fire, and this is my well, here it is. It's a SOL survival blanket, and it's more heavy duty than the cheaper survival blankets that you find like at Walmart and stuff. The Mylar ones. This stuff here doesn't tear as easily, and it's a nice big piece. You can use it for a shelter, or you can wrap yourself in it like a blanket. And it's got a whole bunch of instructions on how to do different survival things. I haven't really taken the time to read it or nothing, but I figured having this in my kit would also be helpful if I wanted to build an emergency shelter, or wrap up something in it, or you know, use it for whatever I need to use it for. So there you go. That's my minimal survival kit. And like I said, it doesn't weigh very much, but all the things that are in here are things that you probably would need as a bare minimum of being able to survive. Like, you always need a knife, you always need water, and you always need some means of carrying it. You know, you always need a first aid kit, and you know, and you always need, you know, there's multiple ways of making a fire, because being able to make a fire out in the woods when you really need one is very important thing to be able to do. Anyway, so I don't profess to be an expert survival guy. I'm not really an expert bushcrafter, but I do know how to tie a knot or two, and I know how to build a shelter, and I know how to take care of myself when I'm out in the woods. And you know, a lot of that goes to just, you know, planning what you're going to do and sticking to that plan. Try not to deviate too much. But, you know, when you're out in the woods, anything can happen. So that's why I got this stuff. Like I said, it doesn't weigh anything, and I keep it on my belt, so wherever I am, if I'm away from camp or off on my own somewhere, even if I'm going to take a trip down to the river and do some fishing, I'm always going to take all this stuff with me, because you never know what can happen out there. So anyway, so there you go. I said that I would show you guys what all this stuff was on my previous video, and I had some time tonight to do that, so I decided to do that now. Castor Bowcraft, thanks for watching.